Welcome to another episode of the Mike and Matt Show with myself, Matt Weber, and my partner and co-host, Michael Strassen. This podcast is designed to help provide insight into the world of real estate investing, entrepreneurship, personal development, and business. Please subscribe, follow, and like the Mike and Matt Show on all podcast platforms. You can listen and watch the show on our YouTube channel, Alpha Funding. Be ready to level up your life and be inspired by some of the most successful investors and business professionals in the game. You'll laugh, you'll learn, you might cry. We hope you enjoy the show. Amanda, welcome back to the Mike and Matt Show. Thank you for coming here today. Michael, are you excited for this?
I'm super excited.
All right.
I'm super excited. Thank you guys
How could
for
I not
having
be
me.
excited?
I am. Thank you as well. I want to start off with, who is Amanda Nadia DaSilva?
Wow, that's a loaded question, actually. Do you want the short version or the extended version?
Whatever version you want.
Whatever you want.
So I am first and foremost royalty. I would say a daughter of a king, a child of God. I am a new wife. That's very exciting. I am a daughter, sister, friend, counselor, according to my high school yearbook, class clown, and worst case of senioritis. I'm also a real estate broker, new construction expert, and most recently, an officiant.
What wedding did you officiate?
So I officiated my friend Pam Lee and Sean Chaconis' wedding, and then I was just asked to officiate Jay and Chrissy's wedding, so I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're having Jay on with our final episode of the year.
He is awesome.
Do you take appointments?
I am booking for 2025, so you can get on the calendar.
I'm married already, but does anybody else here need anybody?
All right.
Moving on.
I think 2025 is around the corner, so
Yeah.
if there's a date that I need to like pre-schedule, just let me know.
Absolutely. Just put it out there.
Okay.
You know, this is a place to push services that we may or may not provide, so I just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity.
So, Amanda, you come from a very unique background. You started off in you were a pharmaceutical manager, marketing manager at Montclair State University. You bought your own real estate investment property at the age of 19, which is incredible. Tell me, how did real estate, where did you come, how did you get to real estate?
So when I bought my first property, I was 19 years old, and it came out of what I thought at the time was necessity. I was a little bit of a rebellious teenager, and I was perpetually grounded. So the only thing my parents would let me do is work. And at the time, it was tough not being with your friends and hanging out, but I needed freedom, and the only place that I could get away from my parents was working at the little pizzeria up the street. I didn't even have my license at the time, so I went there with my friend Danny. We applied for jobs. They hired Danny, and they didn't hire me. I was pissed, and I went back there and I said, listen, we're a package deal. You have to hire me. And that started at a young age, just having that determination, do not take no for an answer. So I started working there when I was 15 or 16 years old. I started at the counter, making, I think, $5 an hour, whatever minimum wage was at the time. Then I was making pizzas and salads, but I saw the bartenders were making real money, and they were counting their tips at the end of the night. So I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm going to spend the same amount of hours as they do, but they're making 10 times as much as I am. So I begged the owner, let me serve, let me wait on tables, let me bartend. I was too young technically at the time, but I was the most reliable. So I just waited for people to not show up, and they had to throw me in. And that was really how I learned how to bartend and wait on tables. And by the time I was 18, I was running the restaurant. The owner basically semi-retired, went to Florida, and he left me in charge. And I would save up all of my tips. And by the time I was 19, I had enough for a down payment on a house. And I wanted to get out of my parents' house. and it was 2007, and they were giving loans to everyone, and somehow I qualified, and that was it.
That's amazing.
That's definitely the first time I've heard that story.
19
I've heard a lot
years
of
old.
stories.
I started in a pizzeria, but I didn't invest in a real estate investment property.
I also worked in a pizzeria, but I didn't have enough money at 19 to buy a house.
That's incredible.
I mean, in fairness, and my old boss, he would laugh if he heard this, but he left me in charge, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I just want to make as much money as possible. So I basically took everyone off the schedule, put myself on the best shifts, and just really wanted to learn how to maximize on my return and maximize on the time I invested. So
was that something that you always had inside of you? Was just like that discipline, the hardworking nature? Was that always who you were?
Well, I would say it started from my mom. My mom was a single mom, and I saw her always working really hard. So that was ingrained in me as a young woman growing up. And later on, she had gotten married or remarried. But in my most pivotal years, I saw her, doing whatever she needed to do to make sure she provided for not just me, but she had brought over my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents. She was really the catalyst that brought my whole family over from Egypt. And she was always working, but something that was really important to her was making sure that I grew up in a house and having my own home, not being under the mercy of anyone else. So that was really where the appreciation of home really started, and seeing her working so hard to provide, and seeing her work ethic. She was like my biggest mentor, and she taught me so many invaluable lessons, not by what she said, but by what she did. And I saw her work so hard. I saw her not take no for an answer. I saw her with a determination to succeed and make it not just in this country for herself and her daughter, but to bring her whole family over, and the generosity that she had. And those were all things that have been instilled in me from her. So
I have gotten to know your mother, just by going to your wedding when you and Gabe, we have Gabe here in studio, having your beautiful wedding and the ceremony and the party and just that whole entire week. It was magical.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other word outside of magical. There was so much magic that week in Portugal, and getting to spend that time with your mom as well and getting to know her. And I can easily see why you are the woman that you are, because you have such an incredible mother.
Yeah, she's amazing. She really is amazing. And Portugal was a dream come true, not just because we got married in Madeira, which is an island off the coast of Portugal, and they call it the Hawaii of Europe. It's just breathtaking. Portuguese culture, Gabe's Portuguese, and the culture is amazing. The food is incredible. But really, I think what made our wedding so special was having just the people we surround ourselves with, and having all the people we love together in one place, celebrating our love. And just to see the synergies of everyone getting along, and new people and that had never met becoming best friends, and it was just so special. So for us, it was great, and it was great having you and your beautiful girlfriend.
Devin. Shout out to Devin Bravaco.
Who set you guys up?
It was actually at Gabe and the At a Level Intensive that we're a part of. So while Mike was there with me,
I saw it happen.
I was taking care of some other business outside of work.
I walked in. I saw you when I walked out. You had a date.
Yeah.
It's not what I expected on that Saturday.
I took a shot.
You know what? I'm really proud of you too, because in my mind, going into that event, I was already scheming. I was like, how am I going to get these two together? And then Devin said, Matt Weber just asked me out. And I was like, oh, my man, you did it. So it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful 7 months, and I'm so grateful. She's an amazing person. I think what you were talking about, the people that were there with you at the wedding in Portugal and how important it was. And I think that can go with anything. That can go with your personal life, your business. Having the right people around you can literally transform your trajectory of your life. you obviously, you and Gabe, you guys are now married. Gabe is also in real estate. You're in real estate. How is that working together with your husband now?
So it's great. We've been working together for a long time. We started as friends, just starting our businesses. That's really when we met. And when we met, we were just starting, and we had so many things in common, and we were both so hungry to learn and grow and make a name for ourselves in the industry. So when we met, we really helped each other build our businesses, and one thing led to another, and here we are, married. But it's honestly great working together. We both have similar passions. We love real estate. Sometimes we have to set boundaries around turning it off, but whether we go away or around here, I mean, he knows that I get upset with him if he starts looking at deals without me. But it's what we love. It's part of our life, and I love that we can work together and be together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, Mike, you can.
Yeah,
you're married actually, so I want to hear your.
My question for you is, how do you feel that, because both of you are in real estate, how has each one of you enhanced what you do, right? Because you both come at it from different angles. So do you feel that there's been that this enhances what you do? Obviously, it's hard to turn it off, right? Because it's just going to be natural. But do you feel like he's brought something new that, because you're married now, that enhances your business? Do you feel like you enhance his business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gabe is amazing at systems, processes, structure, organization. He's an amazing leader. He knows construction inside and out, and he has taught me so much in all of those aspects. I'm really good at people, negotiating, relationships, and that's really where I thrive. And together, we've come to realize that our differences are actually our strengths. And at one point, I tried to make him more of a people person, and he tried to make me more of a, and we would get frustrated. But we learned that we can actually complement each other if we each kind of stay in our lane and recognize each other's strengths and encourage each other in those strengths. So I'm really grateful for that. And he has taught me so much about construction and building. And although I always had a passion and interest in it, his ability to teach is like no one I've ever seen. And I think that's how I got so good at understanding floor plans and design. And we're walking through job sites constantly. And so, yeah, for that, I'm really grateful.
No, that is always going to be the challenge, I think, is when you have two people in the same field, and you have to, and it's like, I always joke that Matt's my work wife because I talk to him more than my actual wife on a daily basis. But that's always going to be, I feel like, the difficulty of turning it off, but also the benefit of the synergy of approaching the same thing from two different ways and seeing what you get out of the end of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest lessons we learn is that we each have to stay in our lane. So I'm really great with the people and the clients and dealing with the agents, and when we have a buyer or listing the properties and marketing. He's really great with all of the back end stuff. So he is not allowed to meet with any clients, only because I'm that level of protection for him. Because he's so generous and wants to just give away whatever the buyers want to make the deal happen. And my role and responsibility is to just be that protection for him. Like, no, we don't have to give a $10,000 fence away or, added cabinetry and whatnot. But yeah, we each stay in our respective roles. And I think that's what has really been the key to our success together.
I love that. So, I mean, you're talking about this journey, but I want to go back a second, because before we get to, we jumped a little bit ahead of time here to being married in Portugal, but you went back to saying at 19 you bought a house. So Matt mentioned that you went to school for pharma. It's like, it's always the genesis of the journey, right? And so we kind of know where the journey is today, right? And I want to know more about actually today, but take us from there, right? So unexpected homeowner, the beginning of the financial crisis, right, to powerhouse realtor, building mega mansions, selling them with ease. There's a lot in between there, right? So, and not all of it sounds easy, because I doubt any of it was easy. So take us through there, because there's part of the, I think Matt asked you, he's just like, who are you? And part of who we are is the journey we take, right? So as much as, you were just saying you're newly married, we're this, we're that, it's like, but all of that journey we're going to take from 19 to today, that's also, I think, a lot of who we are. So maybe take the curtains back a little bit. Tell us,
absolutely.
Give us a little bit of that.
So I was working in the restaurant, and I had bought my first house. 2007 was happening, and really companies weren't hiring at the time like, they might typically, people were laying off and companies were closing. At the time, I thought I wanted to open a restaurant. I had worked really hard in the restaurant industry. I helped open new locations for a restaurant group. I worked at other restaurant groups, and I just realized that this is not long-term the life that I want. So I had gone to school for marketing, and my last semester of college, the owner of the group that I was working with said, I have an opportunity for you to open a restaurant and to be a partner, but you have to quit school. And I just wasn't willing to do that. So I said, well, if I'm not going to go into restaurants, I have my marketing degree. What am I going to do with it? One of our customers at the restaurant was a CFO of a pharmaceutical advertising agency. So he offered me a job, and that's how I started working in pharma. And I knew that whatever I did, I always wanted to help people. And at the time, that's what I thought was helping people, like working at a pharmaceutical industry. But life has a funny way of teaching you great lessons. So I worked in pharma for a while, and on different drugs and indications and different medications, and really understanding the system and how it worked. And suddenly I got into a really bad car accident where everything that I had worked so hard for was taken away. I totaled my car. I was now a patient of the drugs that I was working on. So I knew I was working on opioids and opioid replacement therapy. And the doctors were trying to prescribe those to me, and I said, I don't want those drugs because I work on them and I know what they do. So I went more of a holistic route. So I lost, and I was injured, so I couldn't work. So, and I had a relationship that didn't work out. I ended up moving into renting out my place, the condo that I had bought, and moving back home with my parents. So in a matter of days, I had no car, no job, a dwindling bank account, and moving back in with my parents. So everything that I kind of had put my identity into, working up the corporate ladder and having these luxury things, was stripped away. And that was really like where my faith journey started, because I realized that my identity is not in what I have or what I do or who I'm with, but it's in who God created me to be. And I just really dug into that at that time, and like just praying and thinking about like, okay, what is the next step in my journey? So from there, I was out of work. I said, you know what? I bought my first house when I was 19. Let me get my real estate license, and at least I can buy a place closer to the city and not have to work with a realtor, because I had some less than desirable experiences, and I knew that I could do it better. Well, my injuries took longer than expected, and I just didn't align with the pharmaceutical industry like I had when I first started. So I literally just quit, and I said, I'm gonna take on real estate full time. I have my real estate license, and let's see where it goes. So in that moment, I got my license because I wanted to get back into investing, and I wanted to renovate homes. I was out of work. I was watching a lot of HGTV at the time, and I said, how hard could this be? So I got my real estate license. I joined a bunch of real estate investment groups, and I had brought pharmaceuticals or drugs to market. So I said, I need money now, and I have my real estate license. How can if I just switch the product, I can still use all of the things I went to school for and my experience to bring houses to market instead of drugs to market. So that's really what I did. And at the time, I didn't know the right way of doing things, how other realtors were doing things. I just knew that I needed to make money and how were other industries doing it. So I started using social media very heavily. Well, before that, I somehow convinced one of the investors in the group to let me list his property. He let me do it. I think I basically did it for like no commission, but I was just happy to get the experience. And I did things that were controversial at the time. Nobody was really marketing on social media. Nobody had strategic insights on how to price competitively, like what different pricing and marketing and different tactics that we used in pharmaceuticals that we could now utilize in housing. And also positioning the builder or investor not just as like a flipper, but positioning them as a reputable company. So I did that approach. I got great results for my client. And because I was part of this investment group, one person told another person, and from there, it just kind of spread like wildfire. And before you knew it, I was working with mostly real estate investors, but I was also investing and renovating homes myself to really learn and understand how I can best serve my clients.
So when you said that you decided to pivot away from pharma in that moment of your life,
yeah,
was it pivoting from pharma or was it pivoting from the corporate rat race, right? Because you talked about climbing the corporate ladder, how that didn't pan out or didn't work the way you wanted to. But was it the thing you were doing or was it the thing you were in, right? Because a lot of what we hear is, I mean, I hear it all the time talking to investors, right? Is, they had their job, they did their job, but they don't want to work for other people. They don't have the passion for it, but it's their job. Right. So do you feel, as you look back and reflecting at the moment, was it, I wanted out of pharma because that specifically in your experience with your accident? Or was it, I want out of this corporate world and I want to be in charge of what I'm doing for myself?
It was really both. So I was at the mercy of someone else in that scenario. I really needed to focus on my health at the time, and I needed something that I could have flexible hours and have autonomy over my own schedule. And at working for someone else, that wasn't an option. I needed to do and be where they wanted me at any given time. And if I couldn't perform or I couldn't show up that day, or if I needed to go to a doctor, it was always an issue. And I knew probably deep down I was always meant to be an entrepreneur, starting from running the restaurant at 19 years old to having that experience working in pharma, which I'm grateful for because I learned professionalism in a way that I don't think I would have had I not worked at a big organization. And I learned marketing on a large scale, on a global scale. So although I'm grateful for those experiences, I think I was always meant to be an entrepreneur. I was always thinking creatively and wanting to do things differently. I probably didn't align with my bosses because I wanted to do things my way and they had a way that they wanted things done. But also with pharma, having that perspective now being on the patient side, I understood things in a new way and kind of realized that by working in the industry, I was part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution. And not to say that all pharmaceuticals are bad, not by any means, but there definitely is a lot of corruption in the industry, and ultimately pharmaceutical companies work for the stakeholders, not necessarily the patients. So realizing that and understanding how hard they were pushing painkillers and muscle relaxers and wanting me to go on these certain protocols and their pressure tactics, I just didn't align with that ethically anymore, and I can't do something unless I'm ethically aligned.
So then my next question is, so you kind of, you're in this moment, you're trying to figure out the next thing, you pick real estate, right? You're going to be a realtor. So now you're in it for better or for worse, that was the choice. So now you're here. What kept you here? So, I mean, we heard a little bit about how you started working with, you were in an investment group, you worked with other people, but just because something works doesn't mean it's, going back to the corporate world, right? Just because it works doesn't mean you want to keep doing it. So what is it now as you're here, you're doing what you're doing, everybody can find you on social media to see exactly what you're doing. What keeps you here? Like, what keeps you in the real estate industry? Because a lot of people, we talk to them about how they got started, and which we did, and there's a lot of the question we don't often ask is what keeps you here? Because the first thing everyone's going to say is the money, right? But sure. But outside of that, been doing this for 11 years. Matt has been here for 8. Like, I love doing this. Right. And, money's great, but I love doing what I do. So what keeps you doing exactly what you do?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was at a boutique brokerage, and they were having a competition, and they had a bunch of new agents. I don't know, like 30 or 40 new agents. And the competition was whoever had the most sales within 6 months would get a $10,000 bonus. So when I was first getting my real estate license, that was kind of the beginning of my journey in faith. And I just prayed about it, and I said, God, if this is the industry you want me in, then give me confirmation. And if I win this contest, I'm going to donate it back. So fast forward 6 months, I end up winning the contest, and I donated the money to a nonprofit organization in Guatemala, which supports housing for people in the Guatemala City garbage dump. But for me, that was the confirmation that I needed, that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I think also having passion with my purpose, I love what I do. Of course, the money's great, but I truly love real estate. I love being on vacation and looking at new homes. I love helping investors and builders build their businesses, and bringing it back to a spiritual aspect. If you think about how God has blessed people from, in the Bible or any of the holy books, it's always actually been through land. So God brought Moses brought the Israelites to the promised land, and Abraham and Lot split their land. So land is actually a very holy thing, and there's dominion with land. So for me, I kind of look at it in that aspect that, okay, I'm a steward of this, of helping people with their blessings, and how can I really help them maximize on their stewardship of the things that they've been blessed with.
I love that, by the way. I am also that person on vacation that looks at houses.
Yeah.
My wife thinks I'm crazy.
You have to be obsessed, right?
I don't know about that. So we went somewhere and we were with her aunt, and she's like, I'm going to take you around town. And
right.
My wife looks at me like, don't go. And I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to go. I got to see what this place looks like.
You can't walk into someone's house without wanting the house tour and understanding the upgrades. And
I just drive around town and I want to see what's going on.
I know.
I can't help it.
I know.
It's a disease.
It is a disease. Driving for dollars in markets that you'll never do deals, but...
I'm not even driving for dollars. I just want to look at it. I was like, I don't care. Can I just see it? I know. It's bad.
It's the thrill of the hunt.
She's going to yell at me when she listens to this.
It's okay. It's normal. It's normal.
Amanda, I have a question for you.
Yes.
In the current market right now, what would you say are home trends that you're seeing with design, layouts, that buyers are very, very attracted to right now?
Yeah. So the days of blues, grays are out. And in terms of design and aesthetic, people are going more towards earthy materials, wood tones, more neutrals, creams, wanting to bring outside elements in. So gray bathrooms, whites and grays, the basic quartz, all white kitchens, those are kind of getting phased out now. In terms of layout, I think since COVID, people have been looking for home office space and identifying where they can get it. So we're seeing a lot of formal living rooms now being converted to offices, and we're also seeing, since COVID, people have had more kids. So they're needing bigger houses with more bedrooms. Typically before it was, 1 to 2 kids, but now we're seeing 2 and 3 kids and maybe sometimes 4. So I think COVID kind of really changed the dynamic of things and is shifting the industry in a way where people are wanting those mega mansions again and needing more space because they're utilizing their home in different ways. So I would say those are kind of the biggest trends right now, and creating that resort-like living in your home, whether you're having a pool or having additional rec room or something where you can entertain yourself and your family at home.
I love it. You have been able to get such incredible, and you can probably tell me more, but I've been saying for years, these record-breaking sales where you put houses on the market for, if it's yourself, if it's for Gabe, for anybody, and these homes are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking price. I know that, yes, the market is very good right now, but it takes some skill and some knowledge of a market to be able to do something like that. So if you could speak to how are you getting top dollar for these properties? Like you must know what you're doing. So I'm curious to know what is in the secret sauce a little bit.
I mean, like we were saying before, be obsessed or be average. Whatever it is that we're doing, we do it with excellence and we want to do it at our best. And we want to go above and beyond. So I've created what I call is my max profit process for working with builders and investors. A lot of times people think the best time to bring in an agent is when we're done with the project, and then we'll interview 2 or 3 agents and see whoever's going to market it the best. But that's actually the worst time to bring an agent into your project. The best time is before you even acquire the property. Understanding, hey, is this even a deal? What's highest and best use here? Working with your agent to give your architect direction. What should be the exterior aesthetic here? Should we have a first floor ensuite? What does the market command? So working with builders to really help them identify what is the best use and for their layout and how to maximize and do highest and best on not just the layout, but reviewing the flow and how the furniture is going to go. Gabe always says that I have an ability to see floor plans in 3D. So I literally envision myself as I'm looking at floor plans as if I'm a buyer. Where am I going to put my couch and the bed? And which direction does the sun come in? And I think about all of these things as we're planning in the planning phase. Moving from there, we go into design and working with the designer, if they choose to hire a designer, to really ensure that we're maximizing on the design aesthetic and getting the most ROI for the features that we put into the house. You can ball on a budget. Sometimes designers put in these beautiful features, but it's not necessarily an option with the price point of the house. So what are must-haves? What are things that we could possibly accommodate or do in different ways? How can we get the look for less? What is the aesthetic that this market is going for? And what are the new trends to be aware of for when this project is done in 6 to 8 months? Understanding timing of the project is also very important. So we don't just set the list price, set it and forget it from the beginning of the project. We're constantly reviewing the market and understanding the comps and how that's changing the comps for the project. You can buy a house and it not be done for another year, and the market would have appreciated another $100,000 or $200,000. So understanding that and always keeping that end in mind and staying on top of the market. But then we also try to work to pre-sell if that's an option. Certain markets, it's good to pre-sell, and certain markets it's not. If it's a slower market, then I would suggest pre-selling. But if you're in a super crazy hot market where you know as soon as properties hit the market, they're going for hundreds of thousands over asking, don't pre-sell it because you're going to leave money on the table. And then let's just say if we don't pre-sell a property, we want to really showcase the property at its best. So working with the best stagers and having an eye for design, working with the best photographers, having all of the spec sheets and feature sheets so that a buyer knows this is what I'm getting with the house, and being able to communicate it. And then I think the last thing is the negotiation. So we don't just set a list price and okay, highest and best. Even when we do highest and best, we still press to see, is this really your highest and best? Or is there another opportunity for that highest bidder to improve their offer somehow while dictating the best terms for our seller? So I would say those are, just some of the things that we do to really ensure that we're capitalizing on someone's investment. If you're going to spend all of that time and money and energy and effort on doing a project, you want it to be as successful as possible. And when you're bringing me into the fold, I'm looking at myself as a consultant, an essential member of the team. I'm vested in this project with you. Our interests are aligned. I don't get paid unless this property sells. So I want it to sell for as much money as possible. And I'm a very relational person. It's not transactional for me. So the builders and investors that I work with for years because I'm an essential member of their team. It's not just you hire me as your listing agent. I'm a critical component to making the whole thing come together. So I really take my role seriously in that. And the fact that they're borrowing money from investors, they're getting private money or hard money, and thinking about your money, the other people's money that they worked so hard for, that they're investing in this deal. So, and building up their reputation as a seasoned builder and investor in that market.
So as we're approaching, rate cut season, as I like to say it, after a very, very long COVID, how does that factor into what you do, right? How does outside forces factor into whether you're marketing a project or pricing a project, or do you just look at a section of the market that is unaffected by those kinds of pieces?
Well, that's where I think understanding your market is very important. Even in 2007, Montclair never took a hit. So there are certain markets that are more isolated from the volatility than others. There's a leading real estate economist. His name is Jeffrey Otto. So I subscribe to his monthly newsletter where I'm looking at the economic standpoint and the volatility of the different markets and each town, and what is the absorption rates and how is it impacting and how is it changing from month to month and year to year. There are markets that are insulated. There are markets that you really have to watch what you're doing and stay ahead of what's happening, especially in an election year. Although typically election years property prices go up because they artificially boost the economy because they want the current, incumbent to look their best on election day. So just really understanding the market, understanding economics as a whole, and what's happening on the world stage is something that we are always staying ahead of. And that's why I said certain markets you pre-sell and certain markets you don't.
No, I think that's really interesting because, I think there's, a lot of people listening to this or looking to buy a home, most of them are in the sensitivity of what does everything cost, right? And I think it's interesting to look at where investors are going, right? They're not necessarily in those places. A lot of them are, but a lot of them are like you. They're looking at places where, they're in their kind of their own world of, a lot can happen around us, but this place is going to be what it is, whether it's because of schools or geographical proximity to, cities or transit or any of those other pieces. But it's really interesting to see that dichotomy of this is really important to it's important, but it's not, right? Like, and finding those different areas and how those different pieces flow. Because, the first thing people at least they say to Matt and I, they walk in through the door, they're like, so tell me how the rate cuts affect me, right? And you're like, well, it doesn't, because they don't. Because they make you feel like it does, but those rate cuts actually have very little to do with real estate pricing and your mortgage and all those other pieces. But then there's also the people who are like, the mortgage doesn't really matter to them, right? Like depending on where you're selling or building homes, like, mortgages don't matter, right? And they matter in a lot of places. They don't matter in others, right? So
it's really interesting what's happening right now with interest rates, because when interest rates were rising, people were flocking to buy homes because they didn't want to buy a home or wait and then the interest rates go up. Now that people know that interest rates are expected to come down, people are actually taking their time in terms of purchasing and thinking, well, I have more time now because interest rates are coming down, so there's more flexibility. So it's kind of like an interesting, when rates were higher, people were more eager to buy than when rates are,
Isn't that
lower.
interesting how you would think it would be the opposite?
Right.
Because if rates are going down, the cost of borrowing money for that home that you want to buy actually goes down.
Right.
And then you would think that more people are going to flood the market to purchase homes, because it would be like if there was a discount on clothes or anything, any product. And then you're saying actually people are actually, taking more time to really evaluate their options.
Right.
which is funny because we just went from a 2-year or 1 year low, and then in a week later we went to a 14-week high in mortgage rates. Like, I think the idea that the government, when they move things, that it directly affects other pieces, it doesn't. Like, you have to buy when you can buy, and waiting isn't always the best thing. Like, even in our business, we have people, we're giving loans, and 2 weeks ago the rates were really good on a rental loan, and now they're like, why is it so much more expensive? Didn't the Fed cut the rates? And I was like, has absolutely almost nothing to do with it.
Right. I'm sure you guys probably deal with that a lot.
Oh boy. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Just this morning. This morning.
Yeah, people are always asking me, well, the rates went down.
They're beating you up.
Yeah, why? Somebody told me on the TV that the rates were going down.
Right.
And
it's like, you mean they don't instantly go down on this loan when they just announced it? And
my why is funny because they say, like, but why does it happen? I was like, all right, we have a whole semester of classes we have to go through to explain this.
Right.
It is not that easy.
Right.
I want to know for you, Amanda, because your journey's been incredible, and we've glossed over some of it. We've talked about parts of it. Your influences around you. You spoke about your mother. A lot of the different pieces in your journey got you to where you are. But who's been really influential to you in your real estate investment career? Like, who would be, if you were to, contributing?
Yeah. I mean, proximity is power. And who you surround yourself with, not just in real estate, but in your life, bleeds into all the different aspects. I have been very intentional to surround myself with like-minded people, and people that are where I'm hoping to be or grow into in different aspects. There's not just one mentor. There's a mentor in finances. There's a mentor in real estate. There's a mentor in faith. There's a mentor in all of the different components of who makes me me. I would say, my mom was my first mentor, of course. She's like the ultimate salesperson without even knowing anything about sales. But she has all of the she taught me so many pivotal lessons that I use in sales now. I would say Gabe has been instrumental in helping me grow in real estate and us growing our businesses together. He's taught me so much about construction and understanding the construction process and from beginning to end. So he's helped me understand construction in a way that I think people pay him for these things. I'm living with it 24/7. Yeah. I think mindset is critical. So who you're listening to. So I am a big proponent of Tony Robbins. I love Tony. He is awesome. We're going to see him in November.
Yep, UPW coming up.
And I've gone to a lot of his events. We believe so much in the things that he teaches on mindset and getting your mind right that we're actually bringing 30 people with us to UPW. Michael, are you in?
Matt invited me. I passed on Tony Robbins. I did.
There is no pass, okay? That is not an option.
This is her mom. The lessons that she learned from her mom.
What do you mean you're
I was a pass
passing?
on Tony. I
No?
have Matt. I don't need Tony.
She
I have
has
him.
He's like Maddie Robbins can go learn from the man himself.
That's what I call him in the office.
I mean, this is an amazing opportunity that he is here in New Jersey. He only comes here once every 2 to 3 years, and he is getting much older now, so I don't honestly know how long he's going to be doing it. But to see him in person is one of the greatest shifters of my life, because you go in not knowing what to expect and you leave a different person, and you don't even realize the limitations that you've self-imposed on yourself. So I would really encourage you to reconsider.
That's why I have him every morning. He gives me a pep talk.
If
every
you
morning.
can't, you must. If you think you don't need it, that's exactly why you do.
And I'm forever going to call you Maddie Robbins.
I know.
It's never going to go away. I'm sorry.
That's the name they call me in the office.
I do.
But think about how much more impact you could have if you were Michael Robbins and you were your own.
Nobody's looking for that.
I don't know. Yeah.
No one's looking for me.
Think about it.
Absolutely.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
I love it. I want to know 5 years from now, in an ideal world, where will Amanda Nadia DaSilva be?
So 5 years from now, God willing, I will be a mom. And our goal is to have properties in Florida and Portugal, but also to be selling properties in Florida and Portugal as well. I hope to be world schooling my kids, so bringing them around the world to really teach them that this bubble that we're living in is not the only thing out there, and really encourage them to understand different cultures and food, and exposing my kids to the world around us. And I'm really passionate about women in construction and wanting to see more women out there doing it. I think that's why Devin and I resonated so much, because she is such a powerhouse, really showing the world that this isn't a man's game. Women can do it, and most of the time even better. So I would love to see and empower more women to enter the construction and investing world, however I can support them, and speaking on more stages.
I love that. If anyone wanted to reach out to you, get in contact with you, I know a lot of people that use you, that are looking to have their houses sold, that have had their houses sold by you. How can they reach out to you?
So you can find me on Instagram. I am _Amanda Nadia, or amandanadiagroup.com is our website, and they can reach me. Google me.
All right.
That's the easiest way, right? That's what
the
everyone's
easiest
going to do
way.
anyways.
Yeah. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on here today.
Yeah, of
it was
course.
amazing.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Very,
you
very
guys are
inspiring.
awesome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you guys are doing. This podcast is awesome. Even in a hot studio, you guys bring so much value to
Inside
so
joke.
many.
Inside joke.
You bring so
Scorcher
much value
here.
to so many people, and what you guys are doing is not just a podcast, but you're really investing in the future of other investors and really changing the trajectory of their lives. So always keep that in mind. You guys are, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do what they do without you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
really
much.
appreciate that.
You guys are the best.
All right.
All right,
Well,
Maddie.
be great, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Mike and Matt Show. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe, follow, like, and comment on whatever podcast platform you listen to all of your favorite podcasts. If you have a guest that you would like to see on the show, or have a topic that you would like to hear covered, please email us at podcast@alphafunding.com. Again, I'm your host, Matt Weber, and my partner, Michael Strasser. Be the best version of yourself and take action. Life is meant to be explored. Be great, friends.
Hear the crowd.